My next question is, how many readers have read your manuscript? Because I think as writers, we all want people to read our work. I mean, we have that urge. We want to be read. And sometimes, it can take 10 years to get a publisher to look at your novel. And while you're waiting, you want some feedback. You want to see how readers are actually reacting to your work and if people are enjoying it as much as you're enjoying it. Yeah, so I know, like, for me, I've had maybe like 40 or 50 readers on my series. That's probably a lot. Yeah, it's like it's been hard for me to wait for publication. At the same time, I'm nervous about sending it out, so that's kind of a struggle. But yeah, for all of you, like, so for Autumn, like, how many people have read your manuscripts?
I would say fewer than a dozen, but have read the complete manuscript. But I tend to talk about it. And I remember one time I had a conversation with a total random stranger that I met at a writing convention, and we were talking, and I told him the plot of my story, and he looked up my email address like 6 months later and sent me an email going, I still can't get your story out of my mind. I just love it so much. When is it going to be published? And so I've actually kind of had to back off from doing that because it's, telling people that I'm writing this novel and telling them what it's about and then, getting them all hyped up and then nothing ever happens because I'm not publishing it yet. It's kind of embarrassing.
Oh yeah, I'm yep.
But I have read it. I took it to the Codex workshop in 2008, the one that we had in Tennessee at Mary Robinette Kowal's house. And Mary read it and a couple of other people. And basically the feedback that I got was that it was too fractured, that it wasn't a cohesive, it didn't have a specific genre. It was the problem, and that it didn't have a specific, whatever. So the point is, the feedback from professionals has been, it's not ready yet, not ready for prime time. The feedback from my mom and, a few people like that has been awesome, but it's really hard to draw the line between, the professional writers are critiquing it and through a lens of their own work too, and what they like as a reader, as well as their writing advice. But so it's hard to know how much of their advice to take and how much not to take, and just to keep my own self-integrity versus, yes, this is a problem with the novel. I still struggle with finding that line.
Well, all right, so Brian, same question. Readers on your manuscript. Yeah.
I find I'm tending to send them or foist them on fewer random people. The more I write, the reason for that is sure we all want feedback while we're waiting for people to for editors and agents to look at our novels. But I also think it's important that after we've gotten those critique that feedback out of our system, like our family members, I find it's important not to send them to those kind of readers that are just going to blow smoke up my ass or say nice things because I'm related to them. Outside of critique groups, generally, especially the newer stuff that I've been writing, nobody.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, I would be with Autumn. I'd say actually maybe 5, 6 people for each one, and never family. I've learned my lesson with the family, and it's not because they say, oh, that was wonderful. Because if I were to share it with my family, that's what I would want from them, but I don't get that. And I figure that's what I have critique partners for. So I don't want to hear my parents go, well, that needs more plot.
Oh.
No, family don't get to read it, and they always gripe about it. I'm like, no, you don't get to read it till it's published. You can read it with everybody else. Book 4, actually I did for my master's thesis at Seton Hill University in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, for a master's in writing popular fiction. And so as part of that, I had to do a reading of it. So I read a chapter or whatever, and the response was brilliant, as it would be because everybody's very supportive. And people have asked me to read it, but my answer, there is a way you could get your hands on it, but I'm not going to share how because I don't want people to read it till it's published.
The publication kind of makes everything all different too. It changes the whole thing. When you've got an unpublished manuscript, everybody seems to think that that's their license to tell you what they would do to fix it.
Yes.
And then finally when it's
when you're published too. I have enough friends who are published, and people will still go up to them and say, "Oh, well, you should have done this and you should have done that." And it's like, well, you should have told me that before. When it's in print, too late. Tell me you like it or bugger off.
Right. When it's a published book, though, the only reaction you really are wanting is did you like it or did you not?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's why I like having so many readers on my series. It's like I get people that have some people like randomly will catch things that nobody else has caught, and it'll be something kind of major, or like a little inconsistency across novels that I never would have caught, that might have gotten out there, especially if I self-published it. It would have been set in stone.
Well, it's not like every published book is free of inconsistencies, though.
Yeah. Or typos.
But I don't like having them. It's one of those. I guess maybe I'm a perfectionist about it or something. It bothers me. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't like seeing that in published books. I'm always like, what? Didn't the author think about that minor thing? Like, don't they know anything about geography or like,
their own world's geography?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I can't stand that when I see it in other people's work. So, and I've done it. So yeah, I want people to point that stuff out to me.